Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Ed Smith with Universal Digest, and I'm here with Jean Kimura, who has had an awful lot of UFO experiences with herself, including her husband Dennis over time. And some of these experiences, when I first heard them, I was taken aback. So, Jean, welcome to this interview, and thank you for taking it. And it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Ed.
Well, great. And so the viewers know we do have connections outside in other groups, and it's sometimes it can be pretty interesting. So,
Right.
Gene, I'll let you start off. If you can do it historically, however you'd like. But I was mesmerized by the number of experiences you had. So please just start off at random and please do.
Okay, I'm going to discuss an experience that my husband and I had. Our son was 2 years old. He was born in 1971. This happened in 1973. It was a very frigid, cold January night. It had snowed for a couple days before, and that day the snow had stopped. And you know how the snow is just glowing? There was a full moon. The snow is glowing. You can see for like 10 miles in any direction because there's no fog, no mist, no interference. And we're driving to my parents' home. We were living in Conneaut, Ohio, and they lived in Albion, Pennsylvania, which is about a 15 to 20-minute drive. We were just outside of Cherry Hill. And as we were driving, this image, it was a brilliant star, and it was getting bigger and bigger as it came toward our car. And I had a feeling it was not a star. It was glowing too bright, and it kept making the sign of the cross on the windshield of the car. And I said, Dennis, that is a UFO. And he goes, oh, you're crazy. Because I had told him I'd had experiences with UFOs since I was a young girl. And he didn't believe it because he had never seen one. So I said, well, when we get up ahead, we're going to come to a four-way crossing. We can go whatever way it goes because it's going to turn there. And he says, okay. So we kept going. And as we got to that four-way crossing, it turned to its right, which was to our left. So we made the left turn, and as we went down the road, the UFO flew right over our head. And when it did, he said, oh my God, because he had never seen one. And this was a ginormous one. This was a mothership. And I asked him, how long do you think that is? He said, it's the size of a football field. And I'm like, yeah, because it just was huge. Well, when it flew over the farmhouse, there was a huge farm there. And when it flew over the house, it was way bigger than the house. It was so much bigger than the house. And it kept coming down. They had hundreds of miles of woods behind their home. They lived like near a foresty area. And as it came down, I said, oh my God, that's going to land. And he said, you're kidding. And I'm like, watch, it's going down. And it did. It landed somewhere in those woods behind their home. But they had a private residence, no trespassing. We had no other road because everywhere it was landlocked. They were beside neighbors, so we couldn't drive back there. Him and I wanted to go rent a helicopter so bad and fly back there to see where it had gone.
Right.
So we ended up going to my parents' house, and when we got there, we told my father and mother what we had seen. And my father, of course, said, "Oh, you're both hallucinating, you're both insane, there's no such thing as a UFO, blah, blah, blah." And we're like, "We know what we saw. It was ginormous. It was so huge." He wouldn't believe us. And for years, he teased us about that. And my husband started believing from that day forward.
Oh, okay. So he did start believing.
Yes, because he saw it with, once you see it with your
Yeah.
own eyes, it's sort of hard to deny it.
It's called You Cannot Take Away That Look.
No, you can't take away the look or the experience.
Right.
And my son was in the back seat. He started crying when the UFO passed over the car. We stopped the car and rolled down the windows to hear it. It didn't make one sound. It was totally silent, but our son was crying because it freaked him out. I don't know why. He was so young, but I think he felt our excitement. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're excited about it, so he gets freaked out.
Wow, what an experience.
And that happened in 1973. I've been watching UFOs since the early 60s. And I had 4 brothers and a sister. And we would go out at night on summer vacations. Our mother let us do whatever we wanted in the night.
Wow.
Well, we love going out at night with our flashlights and exploring at night, and we would play games. We'd turn all the lights out, and I was the eyes. I'd be the leader because I had good night vision. And I would lead everybody, and we would go into the woods or go down to the creek or just take little jaunts around the neighborhood. We had a ball as kids because we loved exploring at night. It was so much fun.
And so much more to see.
Oh, there was so much to see. Yeah. So we took our father's binoculars. That's how we realized it was really a UFO. And the mothership, similar to the one we saw, flew across from our house and would sit right above the field. It would open up 2 doors, and these mini ships would come out. Some would fly to the north, some would fly to the south, some would fly to the east and west. Okay.
Was this one of those football-sized objects that was?
It was the football-sized mothership.
I mean,
the huge ones are the motherships.
The football field size. Thank you.
Yes. Because they're ginormous. And I asked him because he was good with measurements. He could tell me how, I didn't know. I knew it was huge, but he could tell me it's the size of a football field. That gives a man more of a visual image, right?
Very true.
Yeah. So that's how I discovered UFOs, was looking through the binoculars. We could see a close-up because he had a very good pair of binoculars. And we could see all the little ships coming out. Maybe there'd be 2 or 3 bodies in there. Yeah.
Oh, so about the size of those little ships, are you saying they could carry 3 individuals?
Well, 3 or 4 probably.
Okay, cool.
That's how big they were. They were tiny, and they'd come out of these side doors,
Hmm.
but the other ship was ginormous. And
Wow.
they'd let out the ships. They'd stay there about 2 hours. We would take turns watching the UFO. We would pass around the binoculars. We'd all take a turn, and we all loved it. And we did that every night during summer vacations.
Nice,
And
nice.
that's why nobody can tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
I've seen them every night for years.
Hmm.
Don't try to tell me they don't exist. If I see something every night, I'm going to tell you what I saw.
About how close were you ever able to get to these individuals?
Um, they were okay. Our house was on
Mhm.
the one side of the road, and our neighbors was on the other side of the road. Right behind their house was a huge field, and they'd mow it, but it the weeds would grow up.
Mhm.
Well, it would park right above their field every night. I
Oh.
don't know why, but they loved taking off from right there.
Hmm.
And they would just sit there and wait for the little one. The I don't know what you would call the little craft.
Was it was it a saucer shaped craft?
Yeah.
It'd be a mini saucer craft that goes into the giant cigar or football field size
Well, it
shape.
isn't a cigar shape. It was more. It was.
Okay.
It was a saucer shape, but it was ginormous.
Thanks for the clarification. That's a very good explanation because
And
we.
and it had huge windows
Hmm.
in the middle. Were windows. I'd say they were maybe 40 feet tall.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean the windows, and it went all the way around the ship.
Mhm.
So they could go to anywhere in the ship and see outside.
Wow.
My husband was very surprised.
It took him a little bit to get to be a believer, didn't
He never said anything again.
it? But
It
is there
was funny.
anything else you would like to add to your recollections, Gene?
It was really exciting. And I mean, we did that for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that wants to know if there are UFOs, get a good pair of binoculars, go out on any clear night, and
Mm-hmm.
just start looking around above your head. And there are more and more sightings every day, uh, and more stories every day. All you have to do is look
Yes.
up.
This is pretty much a hot spot where we are too of nighttime activity. And
Right.
a couple of my friends, they get off, like the 1 o'clock in the morning shift to go home. And 1 o'clock on, you've got all this stuff going on in the sky.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
and they come off of work and say, "Hey, get the camera, let's go."
Right.
It's kind of night watching, but
Right. That's smart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we became used to seeing UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't really afraid of them
Mm-hmm.
because we watched them all the time. It was normal to us. It was normal. Yeah.
And as well as you had an automatic feeling that you knew you were safe, that there was no danger.
Well, I was with my family. I was with 5 other people. So I wasn't afraid. We thought it was fun. We'd invite other kids to come with us, and
Uh-huh.
we'd show them the UFOs too.
I love it. It's early sky watching. That's great.
And my brother had a lot of friends, so his friends would come over and we would go out and watch the UFOs. And a lot of them made fun of us in the beginning until they came and saw it with their own eyes. And then they said, oh my gosh, you weren't kidding. No, we weren't kidding. Why would we make it up?
I get that all the time, and you know, Gene, we've talked about it. To me, it's common sense, and you know, you can't take away what you know, but
Right.
at the same time, don't launch into others who have not had the experience, because in essence, they no experience, so therefore they have no mental concept, which is why fully half the population would still freak out if they knew the truth.
Right.
So, well, Gene,
But I think it's ridiculous.
mm-hmm.
People need to wake up. There are UFOs. There are other aliens. I heard yesterday there are 22 races
At
around
least
the planet. Yeah. Now, I don't know how many there are, but I know there are more than one.
there are.
And how vain are we to think we're the only beings on the planet?
Well, it's becoming patently true to those who have ears and eyes that are open with mouths shut. But a tendency of many people is to just gloss life over. Okay, that was in the news 5 seconds later. Time for a movie and TV, you know, whatever.
Right.
So, no, that's very informative, Gene. Thanks for sharing all that. That's coming right from as common sense a person as I have met in many years. It's you. So,
Thank you, Ed.
well, you take care and we'll talk again. But this is Jean Kimura, lady of a lot of experiences. And I'm Ed Smith with Universal Digest. Everyone have a great day and a great evening.
Thank
Bye.
you.